Yeah, I had somebody comment on the videos that we've been creating, and they said it's nice to know, or it's nice to see that I don't really need to do anything. Like I don't, I could just do nothing.
Well, it's true. They don't need to play. Not everybody needs to play, and so a lot of people believe they need to play, and some people, need to play, and some people don't know why they need to play, and so they play a certain way. And so this is true straight across the board when it comes to who's playing what. See? But then there's nobody needs to play. See, that factor. See, who needs to play what? When? Now, this could be based upon what I refer to as recovering a sense of the unconscious, the no conscious. See, nobody needs to play. It doesn't need to play in a certain way, but yet it may choose to play, which is really the issue. Can it choose to play despite your not wanting to play or you wanting to play? Yes. Mm-hmm. Is it better when it plays? It could be said, yeah, it's actually better if it plays. So, and it seems like most of the, not maybe most, but many of the great players want it to play instead of themselves. And they like it better when it plays. Right. That's true. What is that it? Come in.
Yeah, so for somebody, I've been working with different musicians and, working as a teacher and helping people, with their musicality and on their path. So what would you say to people that come to me and look to get out of their own rut? Like they said, I've just been playing the same things, over and over.
Practice different things. Mm-hmm. You can't give up practice when you're a beginner. Mm-hmm. You have to practice more things. In other words, you have to create a palette for the unconscious to work from. Its hunger is huge, and if you're just doing a little something, it's not likely to want to be interested in that particularly. Although it can come up anytime it wants, right? It is a boogeyman or boogie woman. So, but the more you get into it, the more you feed it, the more it's interested in. So, mm-hmm. That doesn't mean, however, case in point here, that all classical musicians are being used by it. Many of them probably would like to be used by what we're talking about here, so that they don't have to do anything. It can do it. See? Maybe a few of them have access to it, and maybe some composers might be able to give testimony to that in their own case. And so they need to create certain conditions with their massive amount of knowledge and information acquired from training and experience, where they have to be isolated, and then they start to feel this thing coming through, right? In private. And maybe it's a form of madness. Good. Maybe it is madness. Maybe it is pure madness. But maybe it's less than madness. So it's a question mark. So having a little bit, it's nothing. It's like a grade school kids. Although it can come at any time, it can animate anyone it chooses. Because it is the mighty unconscious, after all. It's present in all beings, animals. Yeah. All living. It's the all living. It's the unconscious, which, because of what it is the super unconscious. Oh.
Is it more likely to show up in a certain, if we're talking about music in general, is it more likely to show up in, say jazz or improvisation?
Not necessarily. Can't say that. It's possible, but not necessarily. Certain other things are more likely to show up, see, but not necessarily this, but it's possible. right? Right? It's possible. Yeah, it's possible. Not because of racial considerations, but certain racial, let's say, cultures are maybe more open to it in a certain way. And so it's maybe prevailing more, where there's an openness for it. See? And that's possible. But we all have it. So it has nothing to do with your color, particularly, especially. That means everybody inwardly has access to the similar sort of power. But culturally, that's a whole other thing then. So we were talking cultural, not necessarily racial, but cultural, right? How you're raised may have more to do with it, what your value system is. So the culturing is not a pro, unconscious, not pro. It wants you to be conscious, self-conscious, mostly self-conscious. So it's all about, how you look, how you dress, and how you act. And this is not really about that. This is like more mysterious than that. And I think people from all walks of life who are on that edge of the unconscious and pushing themselves creatively may have more access to it regardless, right? Where they're really on the edge of the unconscious and the conscious, and they want that. They want more out of themselves. So that's a possibility. So, and they're pushing themselves and they're depriving themselves and doing things that we know are legendary for certain kinds of creative people to do. Really crazy in a certain way, because they want the inside out. See? And maybe they're forcing it. Maybe they're like, I'd rather be dead than not create. I have this impression in my mind, the song, the melody, it's almost present, but it's not, and I would rather die than not express it. I heard some of it, and it's so beautiful, it's so astonishing and majestic and divine, right? And so it drives you to this kind of, strangeness, right? And so then it's a matter of, well, how do you get that? How do you get it? See? And so then you may have to revert to listening more to your dreams. It may be more in your dream then. It may be hiding in the dream levels, in the layers of dreams. Right? It might be waiting for you there. See? So then you need to figure out what you need to do as a conscious being in order to get to where that can be revealed, see, to you. So you meet it by knowing what it is you need to do in your waking state, and maybe you can tap into it. It depends on your psychology, basically. We're talking about that thing, not so much culture, but the psychology of the individual then becomes the issue in terms of who accesses the deeper, the more powerful side of itself. See? Right? The spiritual and the pure spiritual in their being, as their being, from their being, by their being human. So it's spiritual practice.